everybody, and welcome back to another video. So before we get into this video, yes, I know I still have a Q&A coming. I have all the questions already organized. I just thought that this video I have been meaning to do, and I'm steaming. I apologize. Before I got violently sick, and I know I have a true crime case coming, so bear with me for that. So by the title of this video, you're probably wondering, what the fuck? And that's okay. It actually took me a bit to kind of understand this. So our bodies and minds are very, very cool in some ways. And they protect ourselves, if that makes any sense. They take care of us, which is weird because it sounds like it's a third party, or second party, but in fact it is your own body. So I have only talked about this with, I think, 4 people, and to some they might not understand this, which is fine. This is why I'm gonna explain it the best way I can. Still fogging. And some people might think that this is bullshit. Some people might think that it's crazy. And I totally get that. I understand that. If you haven't been through an experience to disagree for your body to do this for you, then I totally understand that it sounds pretty crazy. And what I'm meaning is, my mind, kind of created this safe place for me when I was in my abusive situation. It was a way for me that I could take the pain and take whatever was coming with me, and I don't even know how to explain it, but it's like I was aware of it, but at the same time I was in a safe place. And at first I didn't understand what was going on. I thought that I was just knocked unconscious when this happened the first time. And when it started to occur more and more, I didn't understand it. I thought that I was going crazy. I was like, well, this is it, Jess. You have lost your marbles. That's it. You're gone. And so what this place was for me was basically a forest. And it kind of reminded me of my uncle's farm. And I remember walking in this field, and there was trees on each side. And I could see somebody in the distance, and it was like a little person, a child almost. And I remember walking towards this child and kind of feeling more safe, if that makes any sense. And when I reached this child, it was a younger version of myself. I don't even know how old. I would probably say 4 or 5. And maybe 6, in that range. So from 4 to 6. I'm estimating here. And I remember bending down to this younger version of myself and talking to myself, kind of realizing it's me, but treating it like a child, basically. And this child said to me that they can't hurt you here, that you are safe here. And that was my first experience. And I would come back to, I guess, the real world here after certain things were done to me. And I was aware of what happened, but at the same time my mind went into this protective mode of protecting myself and keeping me in this safe place. And at like I said, at first I thought I was I blacked out, or I was losing my mind. But a few more times where my mind kind of dumped me there, it was so strange. Like, I was playing with my younger self. We were like running through the forest, we were petting wild animals, and I was safe. That ahead of me was light and the forest. And behind me, it was almost like a looking glass. Like, I could see what was happening to me, but my mind wouldn't let me go there or go back just yet. It wanted me to go into this forest. It was very strange, a very out of body experience. Um, but as time went on and I looked into this, um, a lot of people, and I'm not saying all of them, but a lot of people, they create this safe place in the mind. It's not that they purposely create this mind of like where all the bad stuff, like when bad stuff is happening, they go there. It's kind of like this mechanism that your body and mind create for you so you can feel safe. And it's most common in children who suffer from abuse or very hard situations, like they lost a loved one at a young age and they witnessed it. But it is common in, adults and teenagers and all of that. Again, not all, just some, or a lot. And it's, again, we don't purposely do it, it just happens. And sometimes it can actually come out as, this is going to sound weird to people that don't understand this, and then some people are going to be like, ooh, that's so weird. I totally get that. To some people it's weird. Some people, they create this in their mind, and sometimes it atmospheres out into the real life, and sometimes this can come into what is known as a little, where basically your body and your mind create, it's almost like another personality, kind of, but basically this person comes out, and either, some is known as a literal, or some is also known as another personality comes out. So this can be another boy, this could be a girl, and they are basically the protectors of you. And again, I know this sounds very crazy to some people that have never walked through those shoes or have, been in situations like that. And I know some people are going to be like, well, they're psychotic or they're crazy, they need help, like that's not normal. Like, again, I get that, and I respect your decisions and your opinions. Again, it does sound very crazy, and not normal. But in a lot of people, again, not all, that have suffered some type of abuse, or have been through a traumatic experience, do create alters, or littles. And it can look completely odd and scary to people that, again, don't understand it or haven't done the research into it. And that's two ways that our bodies and minds protect us, even though we don't necessarily want to know, not want to know, but we want us to do that, if that makes sense. We want to do that. It's just a way that our bodies and minds protect us. And again, it does not happen for everybody. Everybody deals with trauma differently. This is just one way or a few ways that some people deal with it. And again, everybody deals with trauma differently, and this doesn't necessarily have to happen to everybody. When I created, when my mind created this safe place for me. I did feel safe. Like, again, it was like through a looking glass. Like, behind me, I knew what was going on and what was taking place and what was being done to me. Just in this safe place in my mind, I didn't feel any pain at the time. It was, my mind and my body protecting me from, pain overload or just feeling all of that at once. It was, its way of protecting me. And it took me a while to kind of figure out that's what took place. I actually talked to my friend Dave about this. Hi, Dave, if you're watching this. He has given me the okay to, talk about this. Like his view on it, because, COVID, can't really, hang out with people. But yeah, Dave was the first person I actually talked to about this. He was in the army, and he saw a lot of, shit and whatnot. And to sit down and have a conversation with a person who has suffered PTSD, and, I have suffered PTSD and have it, and just sharing different experiences that people have gone through and, how they've dealt with trauma. And when I first brought this to him, it was just a conversation one late night we were having, and actually he was driving me home from work. And I just remember saying, like, I know this sounds crazy, and I don't even know or understand this, but so at the time, like, this was after I told him my story, and he was literally one of the first persons I told about my backstory. And I was like, I have to tell somebody this because I feel like I'm going crazy. And he's like, oh, what's up, Jess? Like, this big ass muscle man. And I was like, okay. So I told him about this experience of this and how it happened multiple times and whatnot. And he was the one that kind of walked me through this and gave me that kind of compass of, like, looking into this and doing research, and how, experiences may vary, and sometimes it is like, you can create an altar or a little, and it was such a relief to talk to somebody and not have them be like, hey, you're crazy, you need help. It was nice to get that opinion of saying, hey, it is okay, and yes, that is normal that happened to you. It was just a refreshing thing that, like, he didn't judge, he didn't have that weird face on. He just listened, and then he gave his opinion, and then he's like, hey, I will send you some books that you want to read, some articles. I will look into it for you, and I will send you the information just so you can do some footwork yourself, and just hear that, hey, you're not crazy. And it's just not coming from me type of thing. And I was very, very thankful. And he has been one of my, solid back walls of, like, a sounding board and just this anchor. And so some people are going to be like, well, what is an altar, or what is a little? So basically what happens is not that your mind disconnects. It kind of, so basically how it was, like, I was watching a lot of documentaries on this and reading some research papers, and basically it's like folders. And in these folders, your mind creates these different people that are kind of like your protectors, that they take over. And for some people, they're not aware of this, that they don't know that they have altars going on. And for some people, they do. it's 50-50 now that I've like done some like hardcore research into it, that it's 50-50, so split that people know and people that don't know that this is going on. But yeah, so usually this stems from a childhood trauma, alters. Usually that is where it stems from. Although there has been adult cases where some severe trauma has happened and alters are created. Again, it's not necessarily like that person doing it. It's just their mind and their body protecting them. And they are literally different people from that person, that original person. They can literally have alters that are both sexes, that dress and act and talk completely different from that singular person. And sometimes they have memories of this, and sometimes they don't have memories of when the alters take over. And it is very interesting to see how our mind and bodies can do this. How these alters can take over their lives and basically, for some, protect. Some of the alters can be a little cheeky, from what I've seen and read and whatnot. But mostly they're just protectors of that singular person that they just want to protect, which is very interesting. So instead of like creating another world where you kind of just like tap out for a little bit, these people take over so they can protect you from whatever is around you. Now, a little is a little different. Again, some people will be really weirded out by this, which is understandable. If you're not weirded out now, you might be. So a little is basically a little of yourself. Again, this could stem from most of the time from childhood trauma, or when you get older, a trauma takes place, and basically a chunk of your mind splits off a little bit. It doesn't literally split off, but again, it's like a folder, kind of like whoop, like it just gets pulled and be like, oh hey, I'm here. And basically they act like a younger version of yourself, like a child. And they basically tap the adult or the host, basically, the singular person, out for a bit, so they can go floating off into that safe place, that safe forest. Per se, it could be something else for somebody different. I'm just using that as an example. Well, this little basically just kind of hangs out and chills and plays games and just is basically a child. Again, sometimes the person is aware of it and sometimes they're not aware of it. Sometimes they can call either the alters or the littles out. That has been shown on some documentaries and some research papers and whatnot. And then sometimes, again, they don't know that this is taking place, which is very interesting. So that is kind of like my little spiel on this. I have to say I am thankful for the forest. That was my mind and body created for me during the time of my trauma. I was very nervous to come on here and talk about it because, again, it does kind of sound like, hey, you had a psychotic break. No, it's just interesting. And if you guys want to do research into this, feel free to do it. Like, I'm not just saying, here, listen to my word, because there are many, many, many studies that have taken place over alters, littles, and kind of those different mind escape places. And it is, to some, it's very odd and weird, but, it is interesting to look into, because even for someone who was going through that trauma and who was experiencing that disconnect for a little bit and looking through that looking glass type of thing and not understanding what the hell was going on, that is fucking scary. Trust me, I've been there. and not knowing and kind of just thinking like, yep, I'm crazy, like I've lost it. It was interesting to hear that that's often what occurs, not for all. Excuse me. Oh God. Sorry. But yeah, it was an honest relief for me to be like, hey, I'm not the only one that this has happened to, that I've had this disconnect of this safe place. Again, I am very thankful for it because, you know, when the trauma and the abuse got really too much, having this disconnect was, I honestly want to say, a lifesaver in a way. And it was it was really kind of like a relief in a way to just go there, you know, when shit hit the fan and got really bad. But yeah, anyways, another heavy topic here, guys. I'm gonna leave it here. Again, feel free to email me if you guys aren't comfortable talking in the comments. Drop cases. Please email me the cases that you want me to talk about for true crime. I do have one coming up that was requested a month or two ago. I'm working on that. I actually followed this case that I'm going to be covering since the beginning. Those are just a lot of moving pieces and a lot of interesting things that have taken place with it. Of course, it's a heartbreaking case. It's going to be a heavy case. But yeah, there's going to be a few parts to it, guys. Anyways, I'm going to leave it there. I do believe my next video will be the Q&A, and then I'll do the true crime. I think I'm going to do it that way, kind of break up these heavier videos. But yeah, anyways, I hope you guys are staying safe, and I'm gonna just leave it here. Anyways, guys, remember, never give up, always keep fighting. You're enough, and you're very much loved. Until the next video, stay safe, guys.